So today I need to do a valve cover gasket. It's absolutely freezing out. So I've got on a pair of sweatpants and a pair of jeans, and I have on a sweatshirt over a t-shirt and my hat. But I need to do this before, I'd rather do it before the winter when it gets, really cold. So I'm thinking that all I need to take off is just these lines here, in this box, because I have to be able to access underneath here. So I think I have to take off this box and these lines, and then to get to the bolts on the valve cover, I could just move these hoses out of the way. And let's see, there's one here, there's another one down there, so I got two right here, then one. And I thought this wiring harness was going to be in the way, but if you look, the valve cover kind of goes around this bolt here that this wiring harness is on. So I don't think I'll need to take it off. I think I could just get these out of the way enough to be able to access what I need to access. I think it'll be mostly easy. The only trouble I'm going to have is these two bolts back at that end, because how am I supposed to be able to see what I'm doing? Let me start out by taking this off. Now, I don't think you're going to really be able to get these hose clamps anywhere. Like if you happen to lose it or snap it or something, be very careful with these. I really haven't seen them anywhere other than right here. So don't know how available they are. So I was having trouble like an idiot, and I guess this is actually attached to the throttle body at the top. So this little screw right here has to be undone. Mine's easily accessible. I don't know about yours. Man, so much room to do what I need to do. As always, right? Why would there be more than enough room? So I don't want to pull these out of the way because this is your kickdown cable for your automatic trans, and I have this adjusted pretty well after I had some work done on it. But I don't think I really have much of a choice. So I'm gonna have to pop these off, like I said, with just a flathead. There's like a little seat that they sit on, so get the flathead behind it and pry it off gently, of course. And wow, it's pretty clean in there. I'm very surprised. Anyway, pop these off. There's a bolt. Let's see, that's for the injector rail, so you don't want to do that. So you got to take this off. There's a bolt right here. There's a bolt right under here, and then also the bracket, the bolt that you took off first, or maybe it was just in my case, but this was for the air box up top. Let me take a minute to get this stuff off, and I'll let you know. Give me a second. This guy has a little seat where in order for it to attach, you have to pull it up on this little nipple and it'll snap into place. So in order to take it off, you just push it this way. There we go. So now that those are out, this whole thing is pretty mobile. So I'm going to let it dangle rather than put stress on it, but when I get the valve cover up, I can move it. Time to start doing these. These are probably also 10 millimeter, maybe 12, probably a 12. And I think you might need you'll need a deep socket too, because there's some studs. Okay, so it's not a 12. What is this? 7/16. So that fits on there snug. So that's what we'll use. So let me take all these off, and then I'll let you know how many there are. Probably another 7 over here. Probably about 16 bolts or so. One thing I forgot to do was take off this little breather tube. I'm glad I didn't film it because it took me like 20 minutes. It was just, I don't know, it was just really hard. I don't know why it was so tough to pull off, but it was. So I'm gonna start undoing these bolts. But before I do, I want to make sure that they are all accessible and that they are all, in fact, the same size. So let me check this, and then I'll pull it off, and then I'll let you know how it went and if anything sucked or not or whatever. So with the ones in the back, not in the back, but back here. I just figured a regular extension and a regular size socket will work. Otherwise, if you use a deep socket, your socket hits the valve cover, or your ratchet rather. So I'll probably use the longer extension up towards the front and switch out through the middle of the process. And then I just need to figure out what I'm going to do about the bolt back there, which is probably in this contour line in the valve cover that goes straight back. There's a bolt right here that's kind of right in front of this contour line. And if you follow this line all the way to the back, there's probably a bolt right here, but there's so much sludge back here and a wiring harness. But yeah, I could feel the bolts right here. That's going to be the only pain, really. And I'm going to get started. Okay, honestly, took me 15 seconds to get that bolt out. The problem is going to be putting it in because I can't see anything. So when I put this back together, I'll probably start by gently fastening the sides first so that the valve cover stays in place. And then I'll work on the back. I'm going to keep I've got some hardware here, so I'll probably keep all the valve cover bolts in this little area by the wiper so I don't lose them. I'll probably get to this one that's back here, but this one's way more accessible. And you'll need a deep socket for this one. Something else to note, the second bolt from the back. So this one that my finger's on actually has a ground on it. So it's good I'm taking that off. I'm going to clean this ground off because it's all full of oil. And I will keep the bolts separate so I know that one's from the ground. And now it's just another stud, just like everything else. So everything is out, and I'm just going to try to pop this cover off. Oh, I forgot a bolt. Did I miss another one? Okay, well, let me do some digging and see what I'm forgetting. My problem is right here. You probably can't see it, but the radiator hose, larger radiator hose, I guess has some sort of little gash in it, and the valve cover is like tucked into the gash, so it won't come up. I'm gonna try to cut that little bit off, and it might let the valve cover lift up. So now I did something else to try to help me. I popped this harness loose. Now what I did to do that was I propped a screwdriver on the metal fuel rail, and be careful because there's wires under here. So I was sure to avoid any of the wires. And I just pried up on the plastic because it just snaps onto these bolts. I think that might give me a little extra room. So we'll see. There we go. Okay, so got it out. And I have to get the gasket out. And I have to get this leaf out of here. So I don't need that in my oil. So I'm going to pull the gasket. This is a super tight fit. I did not expect this to be as difficult as it is. And the wiring harness is like literally as much in the way as it could possibly be. Throw that over there for now. I'm going to shut this hood for a minute while I clean up the inside of the gasket. When I come back, I'm just going to try my best to clean the mating surface. And I have to get torque specs and all that other junk. So clean this off, popped all these grommets. Right now I'm taking the grommets off right now. I just pop these out with a hammer, just tap them lightly, they'll come right out. So I'm taking these grommets off, and I got a new set here, and all the old ones I'm throwing out. Just kind of wedging it between the fins of the hammer, and the grommet comes right up. And then I put the part here, and so on and so forth. These will just pop back on, and then they'll pop back in here. Okay, valve cover's clean. All the new grommets are on. I just have to pop them in. I made sure to clean all on this channel so that it all lays nicely, and of course the bottom. I did notice this is cracked. I don't know how to pull it out. I really don't want to ruin it, so I guess I'll leave it. I don't really think it caused me any problems earlier, so I guess, I don't know. I'm going to leave it alone for now. This should be ready to go as far as I could tell. The problem is going to be setting the cover in. And, well, we'll see. I'm going to do that. Once I get it set in, then I'll turn the camera back on, because I'm not trying to... If I leave my camera set, it's going to take me forever. So I'm going to set it, and then I'll turn the camera back on. So the ground wire that I pulled off earlier was hanging on by a thread, so it ripped when I went to go pull it out. So I think I fixed it. I uncrimped it, pulled the wire out, got new wire, cleaned this up, and put it back in and recrimped it, and I just taped it just for a little bit of security. So anyway, this is sitting here where it should be. I got that rear bolt in. It's just sitting there. No torque spec or nothing on it, of course. So torque specs are 85 inch-pounds, which I guess translates to 7.08 foot-pounds. Is that true? I don't know. I don't work on cars too often, but I believe that I read 7 foot-pounds, prior to doing this job. So I'm going to set this to 7.08 foot-pounds. I don't think this does inch-pounds. I can't for the life of me figure out how to do inch-pounds on this. I even read the manual, and it doesn't seem to be doing anything for me. So 7.08. I can't do that small of a decimal, so I just went to 7.1. It's just a little bit higher than usual. Is that bad? Don't know. Not a mechanic. So I'm kind of learning as I'm doing this, and if it gets screwed up, then I guess I'll have to cough up the money to get it fixed. But hopefully, everything will be okay. Excuse the noise. There's some leaf blowing going on. Anyway, I've torqued down all these in the best sequence that I could. I've tried to do a cross pattern to put even pressure on. 7.1 pounds seems a little light, but I guess that's what it is. I'm pretty sure I read 7 prior to this, so I think it'll be okay. I just have to assemble all this stuff back together, route these lines back over, put the box back on. I think that's really it. This stupid thing can get put back on. So, bunch of small stuff. I'll put it back together and let you know what happens when I turn it on. Can't forget that ground wire either. So this should just sit just like right there. Just like that, I guess. Come on. There we go. So let me finish this up, and I'll let you know how it goes. So I finished doing this valve cover. The next thing I'm going to do is this idle air control valve. Should just be a couple of screws. I think they're Torx 20. And then I'm going to do, this is a throttle body sensor. I'm going to do that. And then I have a map sensor, which I'll also be doing. It's got new spark plugs. It's got a new coil pack. It's now got a new valve cover, so that shouldn't be leaking anymore. It's going to have all new sensors up front. I have an O2 sensor for the rear that I'm going to do, but for right now, I'm going to do all the sensors on the throttle body. So the valve cover gasket is done. Kind of filmed it to show you guys, one, for me to remember what I was doing. Taking things apart and putting it back together. I wanted to make sure I put things where they went properly. And two, it might be helpful to whoever decides to watch or maybe doesn't know what they're doing. I'm sure I saved myself probably a couple $100 or more based on how everything came apart and what I had to move and stuff. I know it could have been worse, but it was okay. Mostly easy, pretty much basic hand tools. As far as I could tell, really all you needed was a flathead, a couple of sockets, a couple of extensions, and a ratchet. I'm pretty sure from what I can remember. Anyway, very, very basic stuff. Torque wrench might not be so basic, but if you are going to go ahead and buy it, it might be a little expensive, but then you could use it again later on if you ever had to fix something else. So, I mean, it might be okay to, have those tools around for the next time and save yourself some money doing it yourself. Again, I'm by no means an expert, so just trying it out, and it seemed to go well, and I'm doing it in my driveway. It's freezing cold out. It went well. So that would be it for the valve cover gasket. And also all the grommets are in there too, which is good because I'm sure those were junk. So that's it.